Zeus P, Tank Jew. Let the light in, man. It's the 2-hour lunch break, dog. I'm locked in. So turn your speakers up a notch and grab the white gin. And when I'm on the road to the office or the crib, it's Big Zeus, St. Jew, the ones I wanna hear. This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Late. Coming to you live, waiting on for this. This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Late. And we back, and we back. Zeus P, Tank Jew. Let the light in, man. It's the 2-hour lunch break, dog. I'm locked in. So turn your speakers up a notch and grab the white gin. And when I'm on the road to the office or the crib, it's Big Zeus, St. Jew, the ones I wanna hear. This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Late. Coming to you live, waiting on for this. This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Late. And we back, and we back. Zeus P, Tank Jew. Let the light in, man. It's the 2-hour lunch break, dog. I'm locked in. So turn your speakers up a notch and grab the white gin. And when I'm on the road to the office or the crib, it's Big Zeus, St. Jew, the ones I wanna hear. This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Late. Coming to you live, waiting on for this. This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, Austin?
Yeah. All right, man. Welcome back to another live edition of the 1-hour news break, brought to you by the 2-hour lunch break podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Trotwood Zeus, and we are thrilled to be here at DAWA Studios in the heart of East Austin, Texas, man. Today is Tuesday, June 11th, and we got an amazing show lined up for y'all. First off, want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, DAWA Studios and Austin Public, for making this live podcast possible. Huge thanks to them for, their unwavering support and dedication to our community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am Saint, the other half of the 2-hour lunch break podcast. And for those joining us for the first time, the 2-hour lunch break is all about highlighting incredible Black and brown entrepreneurs, artists, creatives, all around the city of Austin, which is so vibrant. Our slogan is all a podcast for Austin, from Austin, shared with you around the world. And we're proud to bring the voices to the forefront. So today we're going to do something a little different. Of course, instead of our usual interviews, it's just going to be Zeus and I diving into what's going on in Austin and also across the nation. We're bringing our personal takes on the current events, local news, and everything in between.
All right, man. So sit back, relax, get ready for some engaging conversation, man. As always, you can catch all our episodes on all of your favorite streaming platforms, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at 2HLBpod and on X at the 2-hour lunch.
Yeah, man. So how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. I know we dealing with some rainy weather, man.
Yeah.
So I had to
A little muggy.
pull my umbrella out and all that as I was getting into the studio, man. And so I think it's supposed to be some storms coming through. So we hunkered down in the studio.
Yeah.
So man, what's going on with you?
Nothing much, man. Just enjoying the week. Making certain that I don't go crazy at work and everything like that. Everything like that. So yeah, just trying to maintain. How's your in lieu of Men's Mental Health Month? How is your mental health?
Okay, right. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
we're talking about this off air.
Yeah.
This month, June, is mental health month.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, my mental health, I've actually been doing pretty well these last couple of months. I've really made a concerted effort to try to, take care of my mental health, whether that's going to therapy, whether that's, whatever kind of diagnoses I'm trying to get done, all that stuff, man. And because of that, I'm in a really good space. I feel really good about, the things that are going on around me and all that, man.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
Doing well, man. Like you said, just focusing on other aspects to make certain I maintain. So taking time out of my personal day to just like sit back, relax, whether it be reading a book or just watching an episode or a show that I really wanted to do.
Right. Yeah.
My biggest thing and one of my kind of relaxers or peacemakers is kind of doing Legos, putting Legos together.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. So yeah, man, I've been making certain, and my wife been making certain that I get my Lego fix every now and again. So yeah.
I know it gotta be. I know y'all gotta find a way to kind of balance that out. I know you can't get. I know she don't let you get too crazy.
No, because it get expensive. It get expensive now.
I
It
know
get
you can run up
expensive.
a check with them Legos. I know how it goes.
So
For
yeah,
real.
but overall, man, I'm super glad. I'm super glad, and just using some of the techniques that shout out to Kevin Overton Hadnot and his team, Kenneth and Brother Muhammad, for stopping by for one of the episodes. That we did an interview on that you all will be able to see coming very, very soon.
Very soon.
But yeah, man, just the breathing techniques of just sitting back and breathing, and making certain that my aura is good, my space is good.
Right.
Maybe I don't know if my chakras aligned or not.
Right.
But we gonna try to
they somewhere.
yeah,
in
yeah,
there.
yeah. We trying to get them
They-
together,
right.
right? We try to get them together. But yeah, man, just making certain everything's in order, decent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to do the same thing, man. I know my biggest, the best way for me
Mm-hmm.
personally, I got two things. One is hitting the gym, right? I try to hit the gym every day, at least Monday through Friday. First thing in the morning, before the wife wakes up, before the kids wake up, all that. Just it's kind of like my own set aside time to just have time just for me.
Right.
I don't need to do anything around the house. I ain't got to do no drop offs, no pickups. We're not reading bedtime stories.
Yeah.
None of that. This hour and a half
He's
is
Mike.
all about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've been doing that. That's really big for me.
That's what's up.
And then also, man, playing the game.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
not gonna lie. That's kind of in the same vein of just kind of getting my own personal time to kind of decompress. I usually do that when the kids are out of the house,
Gotcha.
or the wife is out of the house when
Gotcha.
she's running her errands and doing hanging out with her homegirls and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I got the house to myself. I'm a hop on that red day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's one of the two of
Catching
the
these
ways
bodies.
that I try to take
Real.
care of my mental health and decompress a little bit, man.
Nah, that's for real. That's for real. I haven't had the opportunity in a while to hop on the game, so I already know for sure that's one of the biggest kind of avenues that you can let the stress reliever out. But man, speaking of which, as far as exercise, one thing I definitely want to get back to is swimming. That's something that I definitely want to get back to. Definitely want to utilize, and then also just everyday stuff, like walking the dogs or things like that. The pets are important, just like the kids almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the household. So yeah, I definitely want to make certain that they taken care of.
Right.
You know
I
what
was
I'm
gonna say, speaking of pets.
Yeah.
Right. Got our first topic of the day, man. The Austin Pets Alive staff.
Oh, yeah, I
right?
heard about
Austin
this.
Pets Alive.
Yeah.
One of the most known animal shelters in the city. Right. They just voted to unionize. Right. So they're creating the largest animal shelter union in the country.
Yes.
Right. Which is a big deal. Right.
Yes.
The fact that they're starting here. So workers at the local animal shelter, Austin Pets Alive, they voted to unionize this past Friday after almost a year of organizing. I think they said the union is going to support like 200 employees. Said they're fighting to secure a contract with better pay and benefits, more work-life balance, and newer equipment for the animals. Which makes sense considering the job. With that said, I know they were saying that the organizing for this started last summer, right?
Okay.
Started last summer with the creation of the Austin Pets Allied Workers, or APAW.
Okay.
Right? So last week was their first successful attempt to unionize after years of trying.
Wow.
So yeah, man, what do you think? This is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest things we've seen in regards to unionizing, because unionizing hasn't been much of a thing in like the last maybe like decade or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially something this big and happening in Austin, man. What do you think about that?
I think this is phenomenal, especially for this type of organization, both in context of just the standard worker, but also for this organization and then their subsidiary APAW. I think that's really, really good and really a great initiative to help move the needle forward when it comes to a collective and cohesive environment. I know one of their biggest things and their biggest issues that they were tackling was also like, staff positioning, and also just getting the word out there for the Austin Pets Alive initiatives. I know there are a lot of people in the city of Austin who either want a pet and are looking for a pet, or just don't know how to go about it, right? Don't want to pay a slew of money in order to get maybe a new Frenchie or whatever have you, but also we just want a companion there. And I think this is definitely a valuable avenue. But also knowing anything that you know about unions, once you get a union, there can be plenty of benefits and opportunities that are available, right?
Right.
Also the structure of pay and things of that nature, and then also retirement is also beneficial to you. So I think this is something that will definitely help these employees just get to the next level, get to the next step, have a level of peace, and tranquility when they're employed in their job, because this is something, what the work that they're doing is important, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, definitely. What about you? You think it's beneficial?
So I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Yeah.
I'm very. Okay, I'm gonna keep it a book.
Yeah. Of course,
right?
of course.
I'm an anti-capitalist. I'm not
Okay.
gonna lie.
Yeah, you said that before.
I'm not gonna get too crazy with my opinions right now.
Yeah.
But for the sake of this conversation, I'm putting that out there, right? So along with being that, I am also pro-union to an extent, right? And I say that because unions, at their best, they can do some amazing things for the working class.
Yes.
Right? Just like you were saying, benefits, pay, pension, all those different things, right? They can benefit the employee to a great extent, right? But on the other end of that, unions also have the ability, if they become too powerful, they can do some nasty
They
things.
can do some things.
You know what I mean? And so I do feel like in this case, we're talking about the positive things that unionizing can do for this.
Right.
I know there were a couple different things that had come up. I know the shelter, they had done like a few different, like they had did like hiring freezes on like vacant positions. They weren't bringing any new staff. Employees were like having to work overtime, and the shelter was overcrowded. It was just a bunch of different issues. And of course, it's just the beginning. Like I said, the vote just went through this past Friday, right? So we're literally at the first step. But the potential that it has, it can do some amazing things. And also on top of that, this could maybe be the first domino, right? Like when you think about like the big corporations that are in the city, right? You have, of course, for the longest, Dell was big here.
Yeah.
You have, big corporations like Indeed.
Yeah.
You got Tesla,
Oracle.
Oracle. Yeah. All these different major, Fortune 500 companies that have had issues between, essentially the stakeholders and the rank and file, working class employees that are working for said company. And there's been a lot of exploitation. There's been a lot of different things that have happened that could be rectified if those employees see this example and like, hey, we can do this as well. I mean, there's already been kind of stepping outside of Austin. There's been other examples. I know they unionized with Amazon in Alabama.
Yes.
I want to say Birmingham or Montgomery, one of those cities. And they made some stuff shake. Like they did a lot of things to improve like the conditions on site, the kind of hours that they were working, all these different concessions that they made Amazon do. And like I said, this has a potential to do great things. So I'm happy that this first step is happening. Now it's like at this point, what's your game plan? What are you going to try to enact? What are you going to try to make happen?
Yeah, and I think to your point, just thinking about the construct of Texas, right? Having because we're a right to work state, right? I think also that could possibly add some little bit of difficulty of getting everything that you want out of a contract agreement, and then also those employees can choose whether or not they want to join the union or not. But once but once the union is certified, it represents every employee in which the union is covered in that position, right?
Bingo.
So those are give and takes and ebb and flows. But those are things to consider. And also, in addition, if we're in a union, what do? We pay dues, right? Those dues paying can be beneficial to the overall structure for every employee's full support, right? And initiatives. So I think some of these things are, there's negatives and positives to everything, right? But I think the ebb and flow and the core of it sounds like it's going to be a positive to me, and I'm excited to see more details about this. And I know they're still, have they begun negotiations yet, or are they still working on it? Okay.
I know there was an article that was out about it. They said it could take anywhere from weeks to months. So this is, like I was saying earlier, bro, this is just the first step. I mean, like I said, this could be the first, domino. Yeah. Not just affecting, the job market and conditions in Austin. Right. But, overall, or it could affect what's happening with other animal shelters around the country. Right. I'm sure, Austin isn't the only city that's dealing with issues as far as, animal shelters are concerned. Right. I'm sure it's probably other major cities like, Detroit, Seattle, Baltimore, all kinds, just throwing it out for the sake of this conversation. Yeah. That I'm sure the working conditions the employees feel aren't up to par. So, like I was saying earlier, they can look at this as an example, like, hey, look at what they're doing down in Austin. This is the biggest animal shelter union in the country. Right. Maybe we could, incorporate pull some of that in, incorporate that and see what we can make happen on our end. Right. And we could take this nationwide. Right. No, for sure. So for sure. That's the hope. Right. But I think the biggest thing too is, I would want to argue and see, I would be interested in knowing about, of course, what we talking about, pay. Yeah. I would want to know. The city of Austin is expensive. I don't care where you are in this city. All right. So to work as an employee in any field in the city of Austin, you got to be making some paper. With that being said, I'd be very, very curious to see what they're currently making, what they could potentially make with a union organization, with dues paying and things of that nature, and how they could help for the betterment of the team, and the employees that we are speaking of, right? Yeah. Because at the core, if my team isn't energized, ready to work, ready to go, ready to help, ready to serve, that means they're lacking in totally other areas. It usually is primarily nothing to do with what you're dealing with, So I don't want, and with all due respect, I don't want no rundown, ragged person that's tired, you know what I'm saying, looking after a dog that's already been beat up and tired, and now you trying to give that love, and you ain't got no love to get. It's a hurtful thing, man. It's a hurtful thing. But I really hope that the negotiations go well. I think it's going to be positive. I'm really excited for these next upcoming weeks or months that transpire to make this happen. Kind of piggybacking off what you said, I'm hopeful. Yeah. I hope that this can do some really positive things for not just these employees, because this is what they're experiencing is a microcosm of a bigger issue. Right. Right. And so with that said, maybe this could potentially impact the average. The average Austinite, the average Texan. Right. You know what I mean? So, fingers crossed, man, they make some things happen. I'm hopeful. I'm watching from the sidelines. I don't work with no animal shelters. But, man, shout out to y'all, man. Make some things shake, man. Make some things happen in the city, man. Keep doing y'all thing. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, man, I was going to say, bro. Yeah, talk to me. So, I know we were talking about the average, the average Texan. Yes. Right? So, there's been a couple different things. Few murmurs, huh? Right. There's been a couple different things that have been put in place to kind of affect the quality of life for some citizens in Texas. Yeah. Right? We got your boy. Yeah. He's my boy. He's in my pocket. Once a month. You heard me? No, twice a month. Fam, that's a whole different conversation. Yeah. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Yeah. So he's suing to block Biden's admin rule protecting some gender transition care. Right? So there's a new federal rule that Biden has out, the Biden administration has out, that's saying that they would require. Well, I'm sorry. Let me step back. He sued the Biden administration over a federal rule that says he would require states to pay for gender care procedures for transgender people through Medicaid programs and require healthcare providers to perform them, which is kind of wild. So what's really at issue is the new Biden administration rule regarding a section of the Affordable Care Act that pertains to non-discrimination. This section particularly bans discrimination based on gender, right? So in 2016, the Obama administration, they interpreted it a little bit differently. They interpreted that to protect against gender identity, sex stereotyping, but not sexual orientation. Right. So 4 years later, the Trump administration didn't change the section, but they suggested it would interpret sex to mean only, the sex assigned at birth, what you were born as a male or female.
Right.
And yeah, so Paxton, he asked the federal court for an injunctive relief, which would pause the rule from being implemented. Right. So at this point, he's asking that they, pay for that themselves rather than being able to use any kind of Medicaid or Medicare or anything like that
From the state.
And paying out of pocket.
It's crazy.
And I don't know, bro. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna try to not get too far on either side of the aisle for the sake. I don't want to tell anybody what to do. That's not what we're here for.
Not at all.
But I do have my feelings. I do got my opinions.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. Right. Me personally, I don't understand the reasoning behind it. Like, as a person, as an individual person, I don't understand the reasoning behind why you would try to block any person, whether it be, cisgender, heterosexual, transgender, any kind of way that people identify, whether it be gender-wise, sexual orientation, et cetera, right? To try to implement something that's going to halt healthcare based off of those premises, bro, is insane to me. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, I'm a straight man. I'm like, for all intents and purposes, I'm a straight cisgender male, right? I couldn't imagine myself being like the Texas Attorney General being like, hey, you a straight dude, right? You don't have a right to get this kind of health care. Somebody, or you got to pay up for all this out of pocket, or you can't do this, or you can't do that.
That's
off the strength of that.
Right. I think as you break it down to its just bare bones minimum, right? Just being a human being that, hey, I need this service. I would like to do this.
Right.
I would like to utilize these services, utilize my Medicare, my health care. Someone saying, hey, buddy, guess what? No.
Right. Yeah.
I think that at the core of it is crazy.
Right.
To me. I don't understand that concept. And so that's why I'm kind of arguing it. Now, I will see the perspective of, hey, look, we don't want the state to kind of pay for all these things that may come about. But then you got to go deeper. Okay, how many times? Let's do some research in the past 7 years.
Right.
How many times has someone requested this type of procedure, or requested this?
Because
then you can quantify it, and then you can say, oh, okay, well, it's only all right, cool. No, we got it.
Right, because it's certain procedures you can't get but one time.
You can't be but one time. Hello.
You know what I mean? So it's not like you doubling back.
Exactly.
And,
I'm getting this every 3 months.
Right. No, my
like
G. Getting this done on the state's dollar once a year.
Right.
Or something like
so
that.
So I think again, this goes back to kind of our conversations we had about two or 3 weeks ago. Misuses of funds. Understanding how funds can be utilized in what areas.
Right.
But this kind of boils down to just the freedom and a right to be a human being. Like,
Right.
don't tell me something I can't do with my own health care. Like, that's insane.
Right.
That's insane. I pay all these taxes. I do all these things to be a law-abiding citizen.
Right.
And then you turn around and tell me, oh, no, you can't do that. No. That's not happening here.
Yeah, and I mean, even with that, it's not like we're even talking about like, you know, children, right?
Right.
Like we're not even talking about that. We're talking about adults, like
Right.
adults seeking, you know, whatever kind of procedure, whatever kind of health care that they're trying to be taken
Live the
care
way you
of.
want to live, man.
We're talking about them, and like to try to implement that would block that is wild. And in addition to that, bro, like it's not even just him. Like, 'cause I know Texas is the first.
Yes.
Right. I want to say Montana.
Okay.
Is doing that as well. Which okay, who's trying to go to Montana? But you know, I know they're doing the same thing up in Montana. Now, what I will say is I do feel like a bit of it is it seems to be like a bit of a political ploy, right? Because I know
I can see that.
Ken Paxton definitely has some political ambitions, right? And
I can see that.
I think this may be a play like, hey, you know, I'm tough on the, you know, so and so.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm gonna try to parlay this image into, you know, some kind of other higher office down the line. But with that said, if that indeed is like his tactic, right, you're still hurting people and denying people along the way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, all right, bro, like you can feel how you want to feel, but you're still a politician in the state of Texas. What you do affects not just your constituents, but it affects everybody in the entire state.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so why would you, you know, take actions to try to negatively impact people, the citizens that are in your state? You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
I think this is nasty work right here, beloved.
So we don't know as of now. Like I said, he just did this. So this suit just started. And so who knows if this thing even has any legs? I mean, you know, America is super litigious. So he might just be filing some paperwork and then they might just, you know, look at it and pass it.
Yeah.
And it might go to the recycling bin.
Move right along.
You know what I mean? But I think the gesture in and of itself, it signals a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's very telling. It's very telling. And you know, if that's his bag to move up in the ranks, and he thinks this is the most advantageous thing,
right?
I guess. But I just don't think, as far as Texas is concerned, and from the individuals that I've known and the time that I've lived here for the 20 some odd years, you know, they don't usually play that. They don't usually play that.
Right.
So yeah, you ain't gonna tell me what I can and cannot do with my rights.
So they got a lot of nasty moves they're trying to make on that side. Yeah. You know what I mean? So but yeah, man, so as far as that side, man, let's go to the other side of the aisle.
Yeah. Let's talk about the
right. So Texas Democrats.
Okay.
They just held a convention in El Paso.
Okay.
They just wrapped up. I want to say like it's the biennial convention.
Okay.
It was this past Saturday. So they were, you know, a big thing with them. They're like warning that Texas could like slip into authoritarianism if Republicans come into power. You know, power for much longer.
Okay.
And and so it was a 3-day convention. So it came as Democrats are really trying to rally their base ahead of the 2024 election and kind of turn apathy into action, even as the number of seats they hold in the state and in federal office, it pales in comparison to, you know, Republicans by a lot. So I know Democrats, at least from what I can see. So I'm not gonna identify. Hey, every time we have an episode, I say I'm independent, right? I'm gonna stick with that. That's my story. I'm sticking to it, right? And so at least from the outside looking in, it definitely feels like, at least with the upcoming presidential election, it definitely feels very apathetic. People aren't necessarily like sprinting to the polls like last go around, because I think that was the highest voting in, you know, presidential American history.
Boys, was
right?
like, we got to figure this out.
Yeah. And so the thing is it's like now they're trying to rally that because, you know, we've seen what's happened since that election occurred. We've seen what's been going on with our city, you know, our sitting president. And some people aren't very happy with what they're seeing.
Right.
Even on, you know, the Democrat side.
Right.
And yeah, so it's turning into kind of just like, I guess I'll vote for him.
Yeah.
Thing. And that really doesn't, like, you know, when your constituency feels like that, it doesn't really, like, your numbers definitely are gonna take a hit.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you. I think that all this work, all this that they're doing right now, and on both sides is just nasty work. Trying to, you know, get people to, you know, rally up the vote before it's even time. You know, get these conversations talking about, you know, what the other side is doing as far as litigation, legislation, and, you know, the big button topic, I guess, abortion. So, you know, I think that realistically we need to focus on the needs of the people, right? The needs of the community here.
Right.
And realistically, man, I think ultimately a lot of promises have been made on both sides, right? About what can be done, what will be better. And I think it's very, very frustrating to all parties involved. But as you said earlier, I think it affects the home cities, the hometowns who are living these day-to-day things, who are operating in these day-to-day functions. Yeah. And realistically, man, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a part of it. So
yeah,
man.
Necessary
evils,
bro. Like I honestly, I feel like Texas Democrats, they are, at least numbers wise, it's pretty rough for them, bro. Because of course, I mean, historically, Texas has always been a pretty red state. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, of course, that's kind of shifted as the demographics have shifted when you think about our major cities. When you think about Houston and Dallas and San Antonio and Austin. Right. You see a lot more black and brown and Asian and all these different ethnicities that are kind of, you know, moving in from, you know, wherever they're coming from, and now they're voting in proportion to their population now, because before the brown and black people weren't able to vote in proportion to their population. Now that it's happening, it's starting to turn Texas a little bit purple at this point. But still, they definitely not in the lead right now. So I want to say in the Texas House, I think they only have like 64 out of 150, right? Which is not very good odds. It was worse before. It's been worse. And even like the Texas Senate, I want to say they have 12 out of 31. So yeah, they got a lot of leg work to do, man. They got to really rally. They got to really rally up this base. Yeah.
Which makes sense why they're starting now, and makes perfect sense. But I think that, you know, what needs to happen is really, again, back to the original statements, you know, focus on the needs of the people and the needs of the community, and therefore from there you'll be able to get those votes that you're looking for. I think there's a lot of, you know, over-promising, under-delivering when it comes to certain things, when it comes to certain aspects, and then also in addition to that, when it comes to various initiatives, maybe it might be something that, you know, you may not think it is, but I definitely want to give a big and just echo and just urge, you know, if there are political parties or you know, individuals who are serious about engaging in the right and accessibility to vote, make certain that you engage in your local, right? Get them to start working for you. You let your tax dollars work for you, right? And get these people to work for you. I mean, damn,
man.
You know?
Yeah, man. You're right. You gotta press them.
Sometimes,
especially in your local elections, man. You know, shake something. Yeah, shake something for this vote.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, you gotta make, especially these local politicians. They gotta work for your vote. They gotta work to serve you. Yes. You know what I mean? Because they can't take your vote, our votes, or for granted, and think that they just have it in the bag because you may be leaning, you know, on one side or the other, and they just happen to be the candidate at the time. No, sir.
Yeah.
No. What you gonna do? Like I said, shake something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which, by the way, I mean, speaking of just Austin and monies and then making certain that your vote matters and your vote and your voice is heard. Austin is doing a Austin Music Fund, which goes out to promoters and also party goers and also live music venues. It's actually a $60,000 grant, which is separated into 2 installments, $30,000 and $30,000. The end of the grant ends on June the 18th, if I'm not mistaken. And the grant kind of specializes in, again, Austin partygoers and promoters. Now, you can be a resident. One, you have to be a resident of Austin. Two, you have to utilize your funds and funding within the city limits. But three, it has to fall within the dynamics. Either you are either an artist with a niche, whether it be painting, whether it be music, whether it be, your live personal expression, and also or a promoter of music. So music venues, podcasters, right? Party promoters, things of this nature can utilize the fund. Now, granted, it's not a PPP loan. You ain't going to get it right out. All right, straight up. Let's start here. Okay. But also, in addition to that, they want to know, okay, how do you plan on serving our communities, right? It's open to the Black and brown and minority communities, and it's also open to other initiatives. They want Spanish-speaking individuals who are providing an accessibility to those communities. So we want to give a special shout-out to the city of Austin for providing that particular fund. But also, man, like, those are some of the things that we're talking about when we talk about allocating funds to the betterment of the city, right? Because if those monies get into the right dollars, I think it's a $5 million fund, and if they're giving out $30,000, per installment, that's plenty of people that can get this grant, right? But what are we also doing? We're also empowering those individuals to either get their business up off the ground or recycle from COVID, which I'm sorry if you don't know. It hit everybody hard, right? So I think that it's going to be a great initiative. I mean, what do you think about it after we had the conversation in regards to that fund in particular?
I'm happy that there are avenues for, creatives, people that are, your working class artists. Right. I'm happy that there are avenues for those type of people to, receive some type of funding, because the thing is working in that creative space, it isn't, for a lot of people, it isn't like the highest paying thing. Like 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna get rich. Working in the creative space. So to have a, something like this that's been funded by, tax dollars coming from the city, right? I think it can do amazing things. Just like you were saying, it can help people, if they have small businesses, it can get that off the ground. If you have, like a podcast, you can invest in equipment, you can invest in, staff, production, XYZ,
and you
just hit different things.
You just hit the nail on the head, talking about staff, production, things of that nature. The city of Austin has a mandate to pay people $200 an hour based off of this grant. So, and also predicated on the grant, employee compensation is a part of the grant. So what are we saying? Don't pay yourself $30,000.
Right. This not a lick.
It's not a lick.
It's not a lick.
But you can pay your staff money in order to make certain that your grant works for you, and you can identify those things. So that way you can be potentially a full-time artist. Right. And really go forth with your business. Now, Grant, like we talked about a few moments ago, this ain't a get-rich-quick scheme, but this is an opportunity that the city has provided that's available to you if you are a true artist in that realm. And you can, feed yourself, get yourself your supplies, do whatever you need to do to make yourself get yourself to that next level, whether it be content creation, more hands on deck for your studio or space or, live music space. And as Zeus was mentioning earlier, getting your platform off the ground, whatever that looks like. I think this is something that, the city is going to be championed for, especially when it comes to the creative space, because Austin has a lot of creatives, right?
Yeah.
But I think the problem is, and one of the reasons why we've established this platform is to get that message out there to the people. We want the people to know stuff like this is available to us. All we just have to do is know how to write it, know how to tell the story in order to be received properly. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that we're going to be able to do with our platform and with our voices. So yeah, man.
Shout out to the city of Austin, man, for creating that grant, that fund.
That fund, yes. Shout out. Big shout out. What's next, bro?
Man, okay. So I know we were talking about politics, man, but we're gonna kind of shift gears. Right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about something that's kind of been going on behind the scenes with healthcare in the city.
Okay.
Right? Well, not in the city, but just nationwide.
Yeah.
So Ascension Seton, the Seton location in Austin.
Okay.
They just regained access to electronic health records after a ransomware attack.
They just regained.
Just in 4 months.
Okay.
Right. So Ascension Seton hospitals in the Austin area once again have access to electronic health records.
Okay.
After nearly, I want to say this is like a month of paper charting. Like everything is strictly paper.
Whoa.
Right.
Back to the Stone Age, huh?
So Austin is among the first markets to see its electronic health record system restored following a ransomware attack that affected all Ascension healthcare systems, not even just Austin, but nationwide. It hit on May 8th, and everybody's been kind of, just trying to operate with paper ever since then.
Dang.
So as of now, I want to say Florida and Alabama have also been restored.
Okay.
The rest of the hospitals nationwide are expected to for access to be restored. What's the date today? It is the 11th. Yeah. It's expected to be all up and running by the 14th, by June 14th.
Friday.
Ascension pharmacies are also back to normal operations as well. So I know this has been a very big deal in the city. I know I actually have a couple people that I went to like high school with and middle school with that work in healthcare now at Ascension Seton. And I remember like what was going on, when that first hit, like they had no access, like everything was written on paper. And in this economy, in this time, that can slow down the logistics of healthcare in general, right?
Yeah.
Because once upon a time, before computers became like really relevant, it was all paper, right?
Yes.
And people had kind of become accommodated to working with that, and they had made their systems to work with that, right? But now in 2024, it's set up logistically around working with computers,
right? Exactly,
right. And so when you're set up to work that way, and then boom, you have to go working with paper now. After logistically you're set to work that way, they said it's set them back like 30 years.
I bet.
You know what I mean? And so yeah, bro. Like
I think what's crazy to me. I'm thinking right now because, like I said, I got a high school graduate. He was like, "Yo, we never." I was trying to explain to him, because we had to write a paper check. I had to do a paper check, and he was like, "What's that?" I was like, "You've never had to write in cursive?" He was like, "I don't remember that."
Right.
I don't remember that. So, thinking about that,
yeah,
and thinking about people who are in the working class now, some of them probably never had to write in cursive.
That's what I'm saying.
Or like probably never even really utilized pen to pad very much, right?
Right.
I can't remember the last time I wrote something down. To be honest with you, with this iPhone, with the telephone right by my side,
right?
I put it in the notes.
Yeah,
right?
I take the notes.
Bam.
I already know how it goes.
So the fact that I'm back to paper now, bro, I'm like, what is life?
Yeah, man. They said it went on for like 4 weeks. They experienced all kind of disruptions. They said
of course.
Staff had to rely on like manual and paper-based processes. Some phone capabilities had been offline also.
Oh, Christ.
You couldn't run certain tests. It was slowing down on procedures, medications. So yeah, it was just like a lot of delays and just patient care, medication labs, testing. It got slowed down a lot, and because of that, a lot of the patients they had to be sent out to they got diverted to other hospitals.
Oh wow.
And a lot of those appointments, got postponed.
Mm-hmm.
And with healthcare, you can't always afford to do that, depending on whatever condition that you got going on.
Not at all. Not at all.
So with that said,
Yeah.
I'm happy, even though they dealt with this hit for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That they got everything back up and running.
Nah, seriously.
And they can get all these patients that they lost. They can come back. And expect that same, turnaround times, the turnaround times that they were getting before.
That quality care.
Yeah. So
But
man, it's a big deal. I'm happy that they were able to right the ship, because man, that's scary, bro.
Yo, bro, I was just thinking about that, right?
Yo.
What if, what I'm saying, and God forbid, but what if you in that situation, right? You writing something up, because I think about the standard issues and scares that you hear about, on kind of some of these stories where a patient went in to go get his left leg amputated, they bust the right leg down, right? Or something like that.
Right.
Like, what, writing that down on paper though? And then doctors are not very well for their handwriting.
Trash. Big trash.
So, who is transcribing this?
Bro, I don't know, dog.
Who is relaying this information? I think this is interesting, man. I just congratulations and big shout out to the nurses that have been working, both the MAs, RNAs, RNs. Just want to give a big shout out, because this is definitely something that could overhaul a hospital and destroy their overall infrastructure. Yeah. So I'm just big shout out to y'all for y'all hard work and dedication on the back end. But I know some of those patients are upset, but just keep grinding it out, man. Man, that's challenging.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, some of the people that I know that are working for Ascension, man, I know they are so relieved and happy that this has been resolved, and they can actually work like normal people at this point, and not like we in 1952. You know what I mean? So
for real,
yeah, man. Shout out to them, man. Keep doing y'all thing now that y'all backing up and running.
Yeah.
So bro, I was gonna say, fam. So I know we're in the middle of the summer. Yeah. Right. And I know we've been talking about like outdoor activities, getting out and about.
Yeah.
Being outside, hitting the water, hitting the lakes, all that kind of stuff like that, bro. I know the city of Austin. They've been having some issues with Town Lake. I know we talked about it before.
Lady Bird Lake.
Lady Bird Lake. All right, hey man, I'm a native Austin. I say Town Lake. It's Town Lake to me.
It's Town Lake, yeah.
So Lady Bird Lake. So they had been, we said it last time. They had been experiencing some issues with a lot of the algae.
Yes.
The algae growths that have been happening down there for maybe the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Right. And I know they have been having issues, people getting in the water and swimming, especially towards the west side of Lady Bird Lake, near Redbud Isle and stuff like that. A lot of people were getting sick. I know I want to say in 2020, 2021, a couple people's pets had passed away from swimming in there and ingested some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So the city of Austin is actually making an effort to try to fight that.
Okay.
Fight the algae growth.
Okay.
Right. So, they started applying a treatment to parts of Lady Bird Lake starting this week. So far, the efforts have yielded kind of mixed efforts, but it's better than nothing.
Right.
So apparently, it's a type of modified clay.
Okay.
Which apparently they're getting it in hoses and shooting it into the water at the algae, or shooting it in the general vicinity of the algae. Okay. Right. So what happens with this clay is that it sticks to the phosphorus that's in the water, and apparently it drags it down to the bottom of the lake.
Okay.
Right. And so because of that, the algae they actually eat phosphorus. That's what they live on.
Okay.
Right. So when their food source goes to the bottom, they go right down there with it. Yeah. Right. Either that or they starve.
They starve to death.
Right.
Yeah.
And so with that, there's less phosphorus available. So of course, there should be less algae.
Should be.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know we were saying there's mixed results right now.
Yeah.
Right now, areas east of 35, we haven't seen any decreases yet in algae levels.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But it seems to be more successful around Redbud Isle, just like we were talking about. On the west side of Lady Bird Lake. So I know city researchers report that the algae is persistent and it still returns to the area each following year.
Okay.
So it seems like this is going to have to be a continued thing. Like, I don't see this going away anytime soon. Apparently, this is going to be a year-round battle.
Right.
You know, if the city and its citizens, if we really want to be out on town, like we really want to be outside and enjoy those natural resources, there's going to have to be some things that we do in order to make it as safe as possible for the people that are going to be in that water and, you know, even the animals and pets that are going to be in that water.
Yeah.
Now, what I'll say as a native Austinite, I've learned from as long as I can remember, you don't get in town late.
No, not at all.
You do not.
Not at all.
You don't get in town late, right? And I've learned that since I was knee high, right? But I understand that everybody here ain't a native Austinite.
Nah, not
right?
at all.
So they gonna try to get in that water.
That was like number 2 that I've learned, like lessons. Number 1 is like don't go to Runberg after a certain hour, and then don't get in town late because it's not beneficial.
Right?
So.
Yeah. I say the one that sticks. Don't get in town. don't do that. But yeah. So if we're gonna have people get in that water, like I said, I'm happy that the city is at least trying to do something about that. I know it's working on the west side of Town Lake. Let's go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and get East 35, man. Let's get them right over there also, man. Because of course, you know, the East Side 35, man, it serves our historically black and brown communities, man. Yeah. So we need to apply that equally. To all areas,
all over the
of Lady Bird Lake, man. Instead of just, you know, west
One
and
side.
West and Redbud Isle.
I agree.
And all that stuff, man. Go ahead and hit the east side too.
Yeah,
you know.
I agree. Speaking of the west side though, you know, we bat. My man is batting for 1,000. Right, he is killing it. Right, and if you don't know what I'm talking about the Texas softball. Right, we want to give a shout out to the University of Texas at Austin. Yep. Tell us about your ladies, man. Tell us how they doing.
Okay, so they made it to the World Championship. Well, yeah, to the World Series. Had a matchup against the University of Oklahoma. Up to that point, Oklahoma has won 3 straight national championships. So they some dogs. Up there.
Yeah.
It's not the prettiest state to be,
nah.
but they know how to play some softball out that way. You know. And yeah, so of course, you know, they ran into a solid team and came up short. So they lost their final game of the season 8-4 this last Thursday to Oklahoma. What I will say is, for the most part, up till our last episode, I was batting 1,000.
Yeah. So
I'm happy about that. But even with that said, though, this has definitely been a historic season for the Lady Longhorns. I know they tied a school single season record with 55 wins.
Wow, that's big.
I know they have a pretty young roster right now. I know they do have some seniors, but I know they have some young guns that are, you know, coming up. Hopefully that, you know, we can pass that baton on and, you know, push it to, you know,
to the next
56.
Yeah, right.
56 wins to get that national championship, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, like I was saying, man, OU, bro.
He said
they got some dogs, man, cuz you know, as of now, because of this win when they beat Texas, this is their 4th straight national championship.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what they doing, man. And the thing is, bro, my gripe with Oklahoma, dog. And this is not even just softball. This is all sports.
Yeah.
Right? So Oklahoma, bro, if you look at the roster, like 85% of the roster is from Texas.
Yeah.
Like,
no, that's true.
When you look at the football team everybody from Houston,
That
from
don't
San
be-
Antonio,
that don't be
from
a lie.
Dallas,
That don't be a
all
lie.
that.
That don't be a lie.
You look at the basketball team, same
Yeah.
thing. You look at the softball, you look at the track. I'm like, if they could just put a wall around the state of Oklahoma and just play Oklahoma people, they wouldn't do nothing. They getting that's from our talent
He
pool.
said that from Texas.
You know what I'm saying? That's our talent pool that they pulling from, man. They need to go ahead and worry about Oklahoma, man. Let us get our Texas girls, man. We'll get y'all up out of here.
As you can
that
see,
should be
man.
our 4 straight national championships.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they won fair and square.
Yeah. I'm about to
So-
say, yeah. Shout out to them. Shout out to Oklahoma for winning one.
I'll concede that, man.
Yeah, shout out to Oklahoma for winning one, but also most importantly, shout out to our Longhorns for literally making history, going through the test of time. That is phenomenal, phenomenal work. Big shout out, man. So yeah, man, what are we talking about now? Upcoming events?
Yeah,
What's
we got
going on in the
upcoming
city?
events, man. Big event of the year, Juneteenth.
That is correct.
So of course this is historically a Texas holiday.
Yep.
This is to celebrate, the announcement in Galveston, Texas, June 19th. I want to say 1865.
Right.
The announcement at Aston Villa in Galveston, Texas, to the enslaved persons in that city that slavery was done, like in totality, right? So because that was basically on record the final day,
Right.
that has become a Texas holiday, and of course from there it's become a nationwide holiday. So apparently Juneteenth gets celebrated nationwide everywhere now. So in Austin there are a bunch of different events going on in the city. So first off, we got the Stay Black and Live Juneteenth Festival, East Austin. It's going to be at the George Washington Carver Museum. It's going to be June 15th. I want to say this is this Saturday.
Right.
From 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Free for anybody that comes. It's a community cookout and music festival. Is going to take place in the historic Rosewood neighborhood behind the Carver Museum. It's going to be, a festival followed by DJs kicking off the vibe, and attendees eating smoked barbecue, prepared by the vet pit masters and all that. Festival attendees can also check out the live artist market presented by Rich's Art Gallery.
Yes. Shout out to Rich.
Carnival games, educational workshops, interactive activities, and self-guided tours. At 6 p.m., a festival will kick off. Festival host will kick off the music festival. Will open in performances by local and national musical acts, starring Tank and Scarface. Right. So yes, big event, East Austin, Texas, man.
Yeah.
Is there anything else Juneteenth as you know that's going on?
Yeah, make sure you check out. Actually, there's 2 parades as well. One in Round Rock, also one in Austin, Juneteenth. That is again on Saturday. The parades, I believe, start around 10 a.m. to noon, and most of the festivities are noon to after. In addition to that, we always like to shout out Tater Q for their karaoke experience on Thursday. And as well as on Friday, want to give a special shout out to our sororities and fraternities, but want to give a special shout out to one in particular. Delta Sigma Theta will be having their national convention here on Friday at the Hilton from 6 p.m. to midnight. So make sure you guys holler at them and show them some love.
Yeah, shout out to the Reds.
Yes, sir. And that wraps up another edition of the 1 Hour News Break. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We appreciate y'all for being here with us.
Big shout out to our amazing production behind the boards. You can find them at Cafe Yodo. Salute to our home studios, DAWA Studios. Y'all know where to find us. We're streaming on all platforms. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at 2HLB Pod and on X at the 2 Hour Lunch to stay in the loop with all things the 2 Hour Lunch Break.
Yeah, continue to catch our live streams every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. on Austin Public Channel and our YouTube page. We got a lot more content in store for you. Thank you for tuning in. We'll check y'all next time. Peace.
Yeah, every Tuesday, 6:30.
And we back. Zeus P, Tank Jew. Let the light in. Man, it's the 2 Hour Lunch Break, dog. I'm locked in. So turn your speakers up a notch and grab the white gin. And when I'm on the road to the office or the crib, it's Big Zeus, St. Jude, the ones I wanna hear. This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Lay.
Coming to you live, waiting on for they free.
This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Lay. And we back, and we back. Zeus P, St. Jude. Let the light in, man. It's the 2-hour lunch break, dog. I'm locked in. So turn your speakers up a notch and grab the white gin. And when I'm on the road to the office or the crib, it's Big Zeus, St. Jude, the ones I wanna hear. This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Lay.
Coming to you live, waiting on for they free.
This is that 2-hour lunch break live from Lady Bird J. Lay.
They got everything.